Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning, good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do and you know why I do it. It is Wednesday morning. Day. It's 3:09 in the AM. It's July 9th. Let me just share my political thought for today. Yeah, the look says it all, right? No, seriously, let me just share this. I'm going to pose a question that we all know the answer to, but I'm going to pose it anyway just for the folks in the nosebleed section to start thinking about. The highest court in the land, that's what it was always referred to. And then we have another official title, the Supreme Court. At this point, it's pretty much filled with court gestures, or jesters. Excuse me, not gestures as in jesters as in clowns. Compromised ethically. You know, all bets are off. Yeah, quid pro quo court gestures, or the jokers in the deck. The Supreme Court has granted the orange dictator permission to again start doing mass firings for the federal government, has pretty much dismantled the citizenship process and, you know, the expectations for green card citizenship. And this has been a long-standing process. And then, you know, the deportation of farm workers. I'm ready for all the good folks to step up and start farming. You think this whole thing is not going to cost you? Think again. You know, we've pretty much done away with farm subsidies. And without those, we aren't going to grow or produce or harvest enough to feed the people of this country. But we're quick to yell about we're the greatest country in the world. Without that process, then we're going to have people who aren't going to be able to afford enough food to feed their families. Now, these are the working stiffs that can't afford it. What about the have-nots, period? And before you say something about freeloaders, I want you to think about how capitalism is set to lock a certain portion of the people in poverty with no schools or no adequate schooling. You're going to have a bunch of people who can't advance in jobs. Okay, so let's talk about this imaginary vocational training. Do you realize it takes a certain level of education to maintain certain job positions? Now, I grew up in an era, in a certain area that was so deeply entrenched in racism that the high schools at this time period, were set up for, you ready for this? Vocational education for the schools in the hood. And I refer to it that way because that was the case. You know, my first year of high school, I went to a private school. I didn't like the atmosphere because I was not raised with money. You know, a lot of times it was oatmeal, missed meal. You know, so I performed well academically, but culturally, they made it abundantly clear, you know, that ugly phrase DEI, hire, you know, or affirmative action. That's how it was viewed even back then. So let me go where I can be comfortable. Let me go where I can be me. So I returned to the public school system after my freshman year of high school. And our neighborhoods, again, had vocational schools. There was schools that specialized in auto mechanics. There was schools that hairdressing. There were schools with, let's see, I'm trying to think, machine shop. My particular high school that I went to had machine shop, wood shop. So there were woodworking jobs and machinist jobs. There was food service, you know, mass preparation of food and things of that. And I took drafting and design, which was basically architecture and schematics and pipe fitting, so drafting. Now that requires a great deal of math. I took algebra, I took geometry, I took trig. Now imagine somebody making something for you that's required to do some heavy operating, and that individual does not know math or has substandard math. Would you feel comfortable using it? Now, currently, we have individuals running this massive entity that we call a country that have no understanding of the law. Ethics is subjective, and everything is open for a little debate. Now here's another Latin phrase, cui bono, who benefits.